Bring space exploration to Union Terminal for good. The Neil Armstrong Space Exploration Gallery is inspired by Ohio's historic role in space exploration and the aerospace industry. Here to tell us more about what we'll see in the gallery is Dave Dusynski from the Cincinnati Museum Center. Dave, thanks for being here this morning.
Glad to be here, Bob.
I was just telling you during my kids' spring break, we got to go to the Kennedy Space Center, and I just found myself fascinated all over again, like I was when I was a little kid, with the idea of space exploration, what that meant, and what men and women like this guy meant to our country, to the human race, and it's just really pretty fascinating.
Yes, it was. And of course, after Neil Armstrong retired from the astronaut corps, he took up residence in the Cincinnati area and contributed a lot to our community, including serving on the board of the Museum of Natural History and Science for 9 years.
Yeah, I don't know if a lot of people knew that.
Yeah, so he was very much a friend of the museum, and we're starting out with our space exploration gallery. We're going to do it in 2 phases. Okay. The first phase is to celebrate. This is the 50th anniversary, of course, which everybody's heard of, of the moon landing. So phase 1 is to celebrate Neil and Apollo 11 and that eventful time period. And then next year we'll expand the gallery to be more forward-thinking about going back to the moon and then eventually going to Mars.
Which is such an exciting thing to even contemplate. Just going back there to see, can we go even further? Another thing that I was reading about his connection with the Museum Center, and correct me if I'm wrong, didn't NASA come out and give him an award at the Museum Center? And one of the things they presented him with was a moon rock? Yeah,
so they allowed him to present a moon rock to an institution of his choice. Yeah. And he presented it to the Museum Center in 2006. And we had that moon rock on display for about 10 years, up until our restoration project. Sure. And it's been off display for about 4 years. But as of next Tuesday, when we open this new gallery, that moon rock will be on display once again. And this is a really rare moon rock. You can go to a lot of institutions and see moon rocks. Sure. But they don't have Apollo 11 moon rocks on display hardly anywhere. And that's because this first mission, they only picked up 47 pounds of rock and soil samples. The latter missions picked up 250 pounds. So in this first mission, they were really concerned about how much weight they were bringing home.
The fuel and all that kind of stuff to make sure they got back.
Yeah, so they brought just a tiny amount. And because of that, there's very few Apollo 11 moon rocks. So this one is really special.
I say, what a treasure to have in the Museum Center. What else are people going to see in phase 1? Yeah,
so we also have a couple other artifacts on loan from the Smithsonian Institution. 2 objects that went to the moon, went to the moon with Neil Armstrong. One of those is his flight jacket that he wore when he wasn't on the surface of the moon. It's not a pressurized space suit, but it's his flight jacket that he wore when he was inside the command module and even inside the lunar module going down to the moon. So we have that on display. Okay. We also have his communication cap, which is called a Snoopy cap. It looks like an aviator cap with a built-in communication device. This is the microphone that Neil spoke into when he stepped down on the moon and spoke the famous words.
That's cool.
About one small step, and then later spoke the words, "We came in peace for all mankind," as they were leaving the moon. So this is a very valuable artifact. We're very glad to have this on display also.
So that must be such a stunning thing for people who work at the Museum Center to know you have pieces like that. To say these are one-of-a-kind kind of things, they're one-of-a-kind kind of things.
Absolutely. It's rare to have anything that was actually flown to the moon or a rock that was picked up from the moon. But in addition to these artifacts, we tell his life story a little bit about his contributions to the Cincinnati community. We have a very cool theater that we're unveiling where we're going to have an 8-minute presentation about Neil Armstrong's life, so that we can learn about the facts that he learned to fly before he had a driver's license.
Nice.
He flew to his orientation at the University of Purdue. Who does that?
Neil Armstrong. Neil Armstrong. Well, you can find out all kinds of facts about Neil Armstrong in this phase 1 of what is undoubtedly going to be a remarkable exhibit at the Cincinnati Museum Center. Dave, thanks so much for coming.
Glad to be here, Bob.
Really appreciate it. It's 9:45. We'll be right back.